Well, many have claimed they only read Playboy for the articles.
Financial articles, Sarah.
But it turns out the magazine also had plenty of fans for its offbeat humour. And it all started with founder Hugh Hefner's own vision of what adult entertainment could be. For more, we are joined from New York by an author who's written a lot about Playboy, Patty Farmer. Welcome to the show, Patty.
Everyone, how are you?
Wonderful, thank
you for inviting me.
Now, Hugh was actually a cartoonist himself and added a few touches to his first magazine, which didn't have a cover date.
Absolutely right. Hef wanted to actually be a cartoonist, and he submitted his work around Chicago. It was good, but just not good enough to compete with the other great cartoonists around town. So he turned his attention towards putting out a men's magazine instead.
And of course, Patty, as they say, the rest is history. But a couple of years ago, Playboy decided to no longer show nude women, which one would think sort of defied the point. And now that decision has been reversed. Did Hugh approve of either move?
He approved of not. He did not approve of the first one. You know, Hef wanted nude ladies in the magazine, beautiful nude ladies. That's what the magazine was predicated on. So he definitely approved bringing them back, which his son Cooper is now in charge and was in charge of bringing that decision back. But Playboy taking the nudes away, whose idea was that?
I really do wonder.
Yeah, whose idea indeed. They were always very classy, weren't they? But when it started, the Playboy Club had a controversial white comedian performing on stage during the week and a black one on Sundays. Now, how did that come about?
Well, you had Irwin Corey was one of the first comedians that performed at the Chicago Playboy Club, and he did not want to work on Sunday for whatever reason. He thought he was working too much, or he wanted a day off, or he had a girlfriend that he wanted to see, I don't know. So they put Dick Gregory on for that particular Sunday. Now, you have to remember that this is the United States in the segregation years, pre-1964, where you didn't mix the races. But Hugh Hefner didn't care about that. He only cared who was funny, who could sing, and who could play an instrument the very best. And he put Dick Gregory on in front of an all-white audience. And once they got over the initial shock, they would not let him off the stage. What was supposed to be a 40-minute show turned into 3 hours.
Wow. So we really did something quite significant, Hugh Hefner, by allowing that to happen within his clubs. What's he actually like, though? Because you refer to him as Hef, so it sounds like you know him. Is he sleazy, or does he actually love women?
I think Hef loves women, although, you know, he's 91 years old now, so I didn't know him back in the day. But I think he, you know, got a bad rap for being a chauvinist. He really was a champion of women's rights. He wrote about women's lib and pro-choice and the pill all the way back in 1960, when those issues really were not popular, and he really did advocate for women's rights. But nobody wants to hear that. They just want to hear how you know, he had these nude pictures of ladies fold out in his magazine.
Well, he always looked like a man who was having a good time, I must say. Always had a Playboy bunny over one arm and a couple behind him.
Now, the Playboy Mansion...
Somebody told me that he had a knack for taking fun and making a profit out of it.
Now, the Playboy Mansion was sold last year, but that was on the condition that Hugh could remain there. How is that going for him?
He's loving life. You know, he's lived there. That's his home. It was actually sold a time prior to this, and with the same conditions, you know, that Hef went with the house. But again, at 91 years old, I think the new owners are betting on the odds that they'll be able to take it over in not too long.
Poor old Hugh.
Yeah, well, Patty, I was interested in what you were saying before about Hef sort of standing up for women's rights and things, but what though do you make of his more recent behaviour when he has these sort of a whole lot of very young women that he lives with in the mansion and they do the reality TV? I mean,
Now he's standing up for young women's rights.
oh, it just seems a bit sort of off.
Oh, those were the old days. You know, Hef is happily married now. He's been married for 4 years to Crystal. And don't pay any attention to the fact that she's 60 years younger than him. Don't pay attention to that.
That's right.
They're happily married. She's 31 and he's 91.
Oh, see, it's
Just
nice-
goes to
nice-
show you that bunnies are good for you.
That's right.
Is it
There you go, right.
just the two of them living together now in the mansion?
Yes.
Oh.
It's
a
their
real
home.
change.
It's their home. They have a beautiful kitchen, and you know, he still has movie nights, invites friends over. I was lucky enough to be invited over quite a few times for dinner and a movie, and you know, you slow down a little bit at 90.
Although, to be fair, if he married another two 30-year-olds, it would be someone his own age.
Leave it to a man to think like that.
Well, Patty's latest book is called Playboy Laughs, the comedy, comedians and cartoons of Playboy. It's out now. Patty Farmer, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Patty.
Oh, it was a ball. Thank you for having me.